Batman, the Prince of Puzzles. Inside Wayne Manor, Gotham City's most powerful people had gathered. Wealthy businessman Bruce Wayne stood in front of them on a large stage. "Welcome, everyone," Bruce said. "Tonight I honor one of Gotham City's finest, Police Commissioner James Gordon." The crowd applauded with excitement as Gordon joined Bruce on stage. "I'm pleased to present you with the Golden Shield Award for cleaning up our city streets," Bruce said. He gave the commissioner his award and shook his hand. "Thank you, Bruce," said Gordon. "In fact, I want to thank everyone for their support, especially my loving daughter." He scanned the crowd. "Where are you, Barbara?" "Is that a riddle?" asked a voice in the crowd. "I love riddles, Commissioner." The crowd parted to reveal a man standing in the middle of the room. It was the Riddler, the Prince of Puzzles. He pushed through the party-goers and stormed onto the stage, waving his question-mark cane. "Where would a teenage girl go on a night like tonight?" the Riddler asked. "Why, shopping, of course." The villain flicked his wrist, and green smoke exploded from his cane. Boom! Seconds later, the smoke was gone, along with Gordon and the Riddler. As the other guests raced for the exits, Bruce approached his butler, Alfred. He knew Bruce's secret identity. "Prepare the Batmobile," said Bruce. "Have you already solved the Riddler's clue, sir?" Alfred asked. "Of course," Bruce replied. "The best place to shop is where you'll find the most sales." The Dark Knight arrived at Gotham City Harbor in the Batmobile. Dozens of sailboats rocked up and down on the dark, wavy river. Batman walked along the docks, searching for another clue. Suddenly he spotted a white sail flopping against the dark sky. On it, the Riddler had written a second message in bold letters. It said, "Where do fish keep their loot?" "That riddle's easy," Batman said. "Fish keep money in a riverbank." The Dark Knight climbed down a steep bank to the edge of the Gotham River. There, written on the muddy shore, was the third clue of the night. "The more you take," it read, "the more you leave behind." The world's greatest detective knew the answer immediately. "Footprints!" he exclaimed. Batman followed a trail of footprints to a large drain pipe. There, the hero flipped on his night vision goggles and crept inside. The high-tech goggles allowed him to see in the pitch-dark pipe. The pipe led to a dark chamber with steel doors on all four sides. Suddenly, the doors slammed shut, trapping the superhero inside. Etched on one door was another clue. "What can you swallow that can also swallow you?" it read. "Water," the Dark Knight grumbled. The ankle-deep muck began to rise. It quickly reached the hero's neck, threatening to swallow him up. Batman stood on his tippy-toes, stretching and struggling for every last breath. Just then, another steel door opened. The water rushed out of the chamber, taking Batman along for a ride. He slid to a stop at the feet of Batgirl, his heroic sidekick. "Good to see you, Barbara," he said, knowing the teen's secret identity. "Where were you?" "I left the party for a moment," Batgirl replied. "When I came back, everyone was gone." She held up a high-tech device. "So I tracked my father's phone." A rumbling sound made Batgirl spin on her heels. At her feet, a dark pit dropped deep into the earth. "What do you say we get to the bottom of this case?" she said. Batgirl grabbed a grapnel gun from her utility belt. She fired the gun's metal hook into the concrete ceiling. Then she swung over the pit and began lowering herself down. The Dark Knight followed. As the heroes neared the bottom, a voice echoed in the darkness. "Well, well," said the Riddler. "Batman's got brains after all." The Riddler stood in the watery bottom of the pit. The commissioner sat behind him on a ledge with his hands tied up. Batman and Batgirl hovered above the floor on their bat ropes. "When the streets are clean, there's still scum in the sewers," said Batman. "Now give us the commissioner." "Hang in there," joked the Riddler. "I have one last surprise." The Riddler raised his deadly cane. Bzzz! He fired an electric bolt. Batman and Batgirl both swung to the side to avoid the deadly blast. The bolt struck the floor instead, hitting the water below their feet. Electricity jolted everything on the ground, including the Riddler. The villain passed out on the floor. A few moments later, the heroes lowered themselves down. "The Riddler was right," Batman said. "That was certainly a surprise." Batgirl nodded. "Yes, I believe he even shocked himself," she joked. She handcuffed the Riddler. Batman untied Gordon and helped him out of the pit. "Thank you, Batman," Gordon said. The commissioner turned to Batgirl, but the teen hero was already gone. "Where did Batgirl go?" Gordon asked. Above their heads, Batman heard the Bat-cycle speed away from the scene. The Dark Knight smiled. "That, Commissioner," he said, "is a riddle even I can't solve."